take a look at the Hickok-Tutt shootout. Happened on the 21st of July in 1865 in the town square of Springfield, Missouri, between Wild Bill and there was another gambler in town called Davis Tutt. It was one of the few recorded instances in the Wild West of one-on-one pistol quick draw duel in a public place. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. We've already established, well, I guess we're going to establish again, but for those of you that didn't listen to our Wild West stuff, duels were not common at all.
No.
You didn't have people standing in the middle of the street and when the clock struck noon, you fired and never went down.
Right, which would usually what you see in
any movie.
All these dime novels, radio dramas, and Western films such as High Noon.
Hey, there you go.
The first story of the shootout was detailed in an article in Hopper's Magazine in 1867, making Wild Bill a household name and a folk hero.
Well, see, that was Harper's Magazine. That would have been nationally.
You ain't kidding.
So, yeah, there you go.
Well, shit.
Tutt and Hickok, both gamblers, had at one point been friends, despite the fact that Tutt was a Confederate. And Hickok had been a scout for the Union, obviously. Davis Tutt originally came from Marion County, Arkansas, where his family had been involved in the Tutt-Everett War, during which several members of his family had been killed. He had come north to Missouri following the Civil War. Hickok had been born in Illinois, which you said, coming west after mistakenly yes. Right. So they're now here in Missouri.
Well, as you all know it, you got two drunk gamblers. They had a falling out. And it happened not even over gambling or whiskey. It happened over a woman. There are reports that Hickok had fathered an illegitimate child with Tutt's sister.
Oh, no.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, wow. While Tutt had been observed paying a great deal for attention to Wild Bill's paramour, Susanna Moore. Oh. Uh-oh. Shit, they got a whole love triangle.
Right. Well, love quadruple.
Right. When Hickok started to refuse play in any card game that included Tutt, the cowboy retaliated by openly supporting other local card players with advice and money in a dedicated attempt to bankrupt Hickok. He's like, all right.
You don't want to do that.
All right.
Well, the simmering conflict eventually came to a head during a game of poker at the Lion House Hotel, which is now the Old Southern Hotel. Hickok was playing against several other local gamblers while Tutt stood nearby loaning money as needed and encouraging them, coaching them on how to beat Hickok. The game was being played for high stakes. I mean, you can't be doing that. And Hickok had done well, winning about $200, which is about almost $4,000 as of today. Of what was essentially Tutt's money.
Oh.
Irritated by his losses and unwilling to admit defeat, Tutt reminded Hickok of a $40 debt from a past horse trade.
Whatever.
Oh, there we go.
Give him $40.
Right, here you go.
Right. Well, Wild Bill shrugged it off and he paid the sum, but Tutt was unappeased. He then claimed that Hickok owed him an additional $35 from a past poker game. He says this, I think you were wrong, Dave.
That's what Hickok said. Wrong, bitch.
Right. It's only $25.
So he did owe him.
I have a memorandum in my pocket. Ooh, he's got.
Well, look at this piece of garbage. He knows he owes people, and he's still just over there gambling away. Like
at least he has receipts in his pocket. If somebody tries cheating him,
I guess.
He's like, whoa, 35? No. Tutt had a large following at Lion House. Encouraged by these armed associates, he decided to take the opportunity to humiliate his enemy. You don't want to do that to Wild Bill. He didn't like being humiliated. In the midst of their argument over the $10 difference in the debt, and while Hickok was still playing poker, Tutt grabbed one of Hickok's most prized possessions off the table, his Waltham Repeater gold pocket watch, and announced that, hey, guess what? I'm going to keep this here watch here as collateral until you pay that $35 in full, Bill.
Wow.
Oh. Can you imagine that scene in that little dim bar with dust floating everywhere with the sun coming in the window?
Right, and the bartender's like, come on.
He's cleaning the glass. He's like, oh.
Well, Hickok was shocked and livid, but outnumbered and outgunned, he was unwilling to resort to violence at the time. He quietly demanded that Tutt put the watch back on the table. Tutt reportedly replied only with an ugly grin and left the premises with the watch. Aside from publicly humiliating Hickok and taking his property, Tutt's demand for collateral on a debt from a fellow professional card player implied he thought Hickok was an insolvent gambler trying to avoid his debts.
Wait, but he had a memorandum. Didn't they look at that?
But he still didn't pay him.
Right.
To ignore such an insult from Tutt would have ruined Hickok's career as a gambler in Springfield, which was reportedly his only source of income.
Right.
You can't be letting this guy slander you. Nobody's going to let you play anymore.
Right. They ain't going to play with you. Wow. Well, furthermore, groups of Tutt's friends reportedly continued to mock Hickok after the initial confrontation, baiting him with talk of the pocket watch to see if he could be goaded into drawing in anger so he could be shot down by the whole group. He's like, come on, let's get this guy to draw that pistol. After several days of this, Hickok's patience was at its breaking point when a group of Tutt supporters at the Lion House mocked Wild Bill and announced that they had heard Tutt was planning to wear the watch in the middle of town square the very next day. Hickok replied, he shouldn't come across that square unless dead men can walk.
Ooh.
Damn. Having apparently made up his mind, Wild Bill returned to his room to clean and oil and reload his pistols in anticipation of a confrontation with Tutt the very next morning. He's like,
I'm going to make sure these things are nice, ready to go. Well, although Tutt had humiliated his rival, Hickok's ultimatum essentially forced his hand. To go back on his very public boast would make everyone think he was afraid of Hickok.
Right.
And so long as he intended to stay in Springfield, he could not afford to show cowardice.
Right.
The next day, he arrived at Town Square, sure enough, around 10 a.m., with Hickok's watch openly hanging from his right waist pocket.
Shit.
The word quickly spread that Tutt was making good on his pledge to humiliate Hickok, reaching Hickok's own ears within an hour.
Dan, you imagine that? That little old towner bear's like, yep, here he is, walking down the street.
Did you see him? He's got the watch on. He actually did it.
That's insane. You think anybody would even care, you know?
Well, they all live for the drama, man.
Right. There's nothing else to do. They've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning waiting for something to happen. Crazy. According to testimony of Eli Armstrong and supported by other witnesses, John Orr and Oliver Scott, Wild Bill met Tutt at the square and discussed the terms of the watch's return. Tutt now demanded $45. Armstrong tried to convince Tutt to accept the original $35 and then negotiate for the rest later. But Wild Bill was still adamant that, guess what, bud? This thing in my pocket says only $25.
He's like, damn the 45.
Right.
Damn the 35.
Right.
You'll get what I owe.
At least he's saying, hey, man, I'll give you something. He can be like, you ain't getting shit.
All right.
Well, Tutt, he held the watch in front of Hickok and stated he would accept no less than $45. Both then said, hey, I don't want to fight, man. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I had like 3 hours of sleep. Let's go get a drink. So they did. Tutt soon left after that and returned once again to the square, still wearing the watch. Damn, this dude went right back.
Doesn't care now.
Went right back into the middle of
alcohol,
town.
and that was probably the worst thing to do.
Right.
A few minutes before 6 p.m., Hickok was seen calmly approaching the square from the south, his coat navy in his hand.
This dude spent all day in the square. Holy shit. Doing what?
Well,
just chilling?
It wasn't no 10 o'clock in the morning when they first met. It was probably 4.
Maybe.
Motherfuckers probably didn't go to bed till 9 in the morning.
Right.
His armed presence caused the crowd to immediately scatter to the safety of nearby buildings, leaving Tutt alone in the northwestern corner of the square.
Uh-oh.
At a distance of about 75 yards, Hickok stopped, facing Tutt, and called out, "Dave, here I am." He cocked his pistol, holstered it on his hip, and gave a final warning. "Don't you come across here with that watch." Tutt did not reply, but stood with his hand on his pistol.
Uh-huh.
Both men faced each other sideways in the dueling position and hesitated briefly.
Tutt then drew for his pistol. Hickok drew his gun, steadied it on his opposite forearm.
Damn, it's like...
The two men fired a single shot, each at each other at the same time. Tutt missed, but Hickok's bullet struck Tutt in the left side between the 5th and 7th rib.
Oh, he got him. He just got him.
Tutt called out, "Boys, I'm killed."
Oh, damn.
Ran on the porch of the local courthouse and back to the street where he collapsed.
Oh, jeez, this dude was in a panic. He's like...
Damn. Dude got him in his lung.
Yeah, you old lunger. The next day, a warrant was issued for Hickok's arrest, and 2 days later, he was arrested. Bail was initially denied, as in common in murder cases. Hickok eventually posted a bail of $2,000. Well, good thing he had it.
Holy shit.
Equivalent to $39,800 in present day. That's still not a lot.
Wow.
On the same day, after the magistrate reduced the charge from murder to manslaughter based on the circumstances, that's why it was only $2,000. Hickok was arrested under the name of William Haycock, the name he had been using in Springfield, for the manslaughter of David Tutt, and during the trial, the names were amended to J.B. Hickok and Davis Tutt / Little Dave.
Oh.
Little being an equivalent to the present-day junior, right?
Right.
To indicate having the same name, yes. We know.
Right. That's his old daddy boy.
So he was little junior.
Little junior. Wild Bill's manslaughter trial began on 3rd of August, 1865. Lasted 3 days.
Look at that.
22 witnesses from the square testified at the trial. Hickok's lawyer was Colonel John S. Phelps, which was a former Union military governor of Arkansas. The prosecution was led by Major Robert W. Fine. The judge was Sempronius H. Boyd.
All right, Sempronius.
Right. The trial transcripts have been lost, though. But newspaper reports indicate that Hickok claimed self-defense.
Of course he would.
The most disputed fact at the trial was who fired first. Only 4 witnesses actually watched the fight. 2 claimed both men fired, but they could not tell who drew first. Well, what can you do?
Oh, one said he was standing behind Hickok, so only saw Hickok draw, as his view of Tutt was blocked. Another said Tutt did not fire, but admitted noticing Tutt's gun had a discharge chamber. The other witnesses all stated that while they did not see the shooting, they heard only one shot. Despite Hickok's claim of self-defense being technically invalid under the state law pertaining to mutual combat,
Right.
since he had to come to the square arm,
Right.
the jury decided that he was justified in shooting Tutt. Right, I mean, back in the day, they all knew
Right.
you can't just do this to this guy.
Right.
As Tutt was the initiator of the fight by taking Hickok's watch and the first to display overt aggression, and since two witnesses indicated Tutt was the first to reach for his pistol, the unwritten law dictated that Hickok was justified and subsequently absolved him of guilt.
I mean, I love Wild West
In Wild West, they all know, like,
laws.
you can't.
Right. Even though they're quick to shoot because they rarely, well,
That's not true either.
Yeah,
There's very
like-
few
they fought.
gunfights in town, too.
they fought a lot, but they're still quick to shoot. What can you do, right? Well, in fact, Wild Bill was seen as being honorable for giving Tutt several chances to avoid the
Right.
conflict.
Like, dude, I did everything. I walked around for 4 days while these guys
Right.
were harassing me and trying to throw my name in the mud.
And the court was like, well, he could have shot him at the moment he felt he was disrespected, but he didn't. Judge Boyd gave the jury two apparently contradictory instructions. He first instructed the jury that a conviction was its only option under the law. Wow. However, he then instructed them that they could apply the unwritten law of the fair fight and acquit, an action known as jury nullification, which allows a jury to make a finding contrary to the law. The trial ended in acquittal on the 6th of August, 1865, after the jury deliberated for about an hour
An hour or two.
before reaching a verdict of not guilty, which was not a popular verdict at the time.
Remember, the dude was popular in the town, so
Right.
probably he had to get out of Springfield after this, I'm assuming. A prominent Springfield attorney gave a speech to the crowd from the balcony of the courthouse denouncing the verdict as against the evidence and all decency.
Ooh, you're just
And there was
riling up
talk
the
of
crowd.
lynching Hickok.
Oh, shit.
The verdict was expected and well in keeping with the trail law of the day, as is stated by a modern historian. He says, nothing better described the times than the fact that dangling a watch held as security for a poker debt was widely regarded as justifiable provocation for resorting to firearms. Right, I mean, you can't do that.
I mean,
You can't humiliate somebody in the middle of town.
right.
While Hickok felt humiliated by Tutt wearing the watch, Tutt could also claim the same humiliation if he failed to wear the watch, essentially bowing to Hickok's warning. No, you
You
can't.
shouldn't have took the watch in the first place.
Right.
Guys should have settled the debt, taken him to small claims court.
Stupid.
Due to his notoriety.
Down.
Right. The gunfight has since received much research and attention. Several weeks after the gunfight on 13th September 1865, Colonel George Ward Nichols, which was a writer for the Harpers, sought out Hickok and began the interviews that would eventually turn the then unknown gunfighter into one of the great legends of the Old West. Davis Tutt's body was initially buried in Springfield City Cemetery, but was disinterred and reburied in Maple Park Cemetery in March of 1883. Damn, 18 years later. His half-brother, Lewis Tutt, which was a former slave who was the son of Tutt's father and his female slave, he's the one that did that. Damn, this dude is half black?
No, it's half brother, which clearly
His bro was
his bro is black. Yes.
nice. Good for him. Beautiful.
Did he get buried by his half brother, like next to his half brother, or his half brother's the one that reinterred him?
I think his half-brother is the one that did it.
Right, maybe. Either or, he's in Maple Park Cemetery right now. Several weeks later, an interview Hickok gave to Colonel George Ward Nichols, was published in that Harper's New Monthly magazine under the name Wild Bill Hickok. The article recounted the hundreds. Hitchcock, right. It recounted hundreds of men whom Hickok had personally killed and other exaggerated exploits.
Oh, wow.
The article was controversial wherever Hickok was known, and several frontier newspapers wrote rebuttals. That's not true.
They did Billy the Kid on this dude.
You think Hickok wouldn't even want that, because now he's got this reputation. I've killed hundreds of men, so now you got hard asses in every town he goes to probably want to challenge him, which we've seen
a million times. Wow. September 1860.
He probably got paid
Right.
a bunch of money, so he's like, whatever, I don't care.
Whatever, right.
Nobody reads this shit.
Right.